Hello everybody and welcome back. Today we are talking about the consolidation and maintenance of power, nature, extent, and treatment of opposition. This video is going to be a very interesting video because unlike what we've seen with Hitler, Mao didn't really have opposition. In fact, his opposition he needed to find or create a situation for them to come out and expose themselves in order for it to be used. So the consolidation and maintenance of power. As a refresher, consolidation means the action or process of combining several things into a single, more effective or coherent whole. All of this being the elimination of opposition for him to preserve as much power as possible. Maintenance, to keep that power and to hold that power until his dying day. And as a refresher, opposition. Opposition means resistance or dissidence exposed in an action or an agreement. Anyone who goes against Mao. Anyone who goes against his government, communism, and so on and so forth. But not as an enemy, but someone within the country. So, there's only one example for this. It is the 100 Flower Campaign. In the 100 Flower Campaign, Mao essentially, as you can see here on this meme, really just asks people to criticize. People criticize, and then all that criticism gets taken, turned around, and then you are prosecuted with that. That is a very quick and easy way of understanding the event. But let's actually dig into it. So the 100 Flower Campaign is the name of the event in the examples. It takes place in 1957, which is 7 years into Mao being in power. And essentially, things are going well. Things are going good. He's getting a little worried about that things are going too well. That maybe we can do things better. And so, he famously quotes, "Let 100 flowers bloom. Let 100 schools of thought contend." And he asks everyone in his government, we need to criticize. We need to look around to see what needs to be fixed, what's wrong, what needs to be evaluated. He's really looking around and thinking to himself, just as I did before I came into power with the rectification of conduct, we need to apply that here. We need to look at our country and say, things are going pretty well. Let's see what we can do better. So, nobody wants to criticize. People are very quiet at first. People are very hesitant. They remember the anti-movements. They remember the anti-landlord movement. They remember how many people died in the first couple years of Mao in power. But eventually Mao starts pointing people out and saying, tell me an issue. And one person slowly criticizes something small like, just for the sake of example, not really, but like, the pins we use dry out too quickly. And so Mao's like, that's a great criticism because that means we can't work as efficiently if our pins and what we're writing for doesn't work. Who's next? And with that confidence, people are like, oh, okay. So, and then one person starts criticizing, and then another, and then another, and then another. And the more people are criticizing, the more comfortable they feel. And it starts scaling very quickly of just how people are criticizing the government. And to the point where Mao starts being suspicious. Like, how much of this criticism is factual, or how much of this criticism is just to criticize, or how much of this criticism is against me and against communism. And this could be potentially a threat. So, eventually, when criticisms reach its height, Mao starts to say, look around the room. Look at the people who have been holding their tongues until now, and they are now criticizing. They are anti-rightists. They are anti-communists. They want to see the destruction of this government. And so, Mao takes these criticisms that he's been hearing and reading and uses them as evidence to say, look, this man right here wants to see the collapse of this government. This man right here is against the revolution. This man is against everything that we hold sacred. And so Mao started using these criticisms as essentially a list to start executing people, to find them, arrest them, beat them, throw them in Lao guys, and eventually, or not eventually, execute. Mao took this opportunity and really transformed it into finding who could potentially be a point of opposition, or showing if anyone even had a want to be part of Mao's opposition. So what we can see is this with the anti-landlord movement, with the Lao Gai, and as we will eventually see, something called the Cultural Revolution. Mao effectively prevented any sort of opposition before it could start. He tamped down on the flames before they can even go. He eliminated people and kept such a tight control and tight threat that, well, if you wanted to, watch what's going to happen. And so Mao was very lethal, very effective in this. Now, something that I do want to bring to your attention is what makes the 100 Flower Campaign a interesting example for Mao is that it is debated in history as whether or not Mao was actually asking for criticism, or he was using it as a way to rout and find any sort of opposition as a political move, or a mix of both. Like, he genuinely, wholeheartedly wanted criticisms and how to fix the country, because it's been 7 years. And then when it got too much for him to handle, he couldn't handle it and decided death, decided jail, decided, no, we shouldn't be criticizing. How dare you criticize me for everything I've done for this country? So it isn't a debated event in history, and it's something for you to think about when you reflect on this unit. Is Mao, or did Mao do this because he was trying to find anybody? Was he actually looking for criticism? Or was he both? Was it both? Was he actually looking for criticism and then just couldn't take it? It is a very interesting thing to think about and reflect on. And I would definitely encourage you all to research a little bit more into this to develop your own opinion onto it.